Ever dreamed of, starting your own thing, your own venture? What if there was a way to know, like right from the very beginning, which ideas are actually brilliant and which ones are, well, let's just say, probably not going to shine? Welcome back to Marginal Thoughts. We're the channel that tries to help you grasp complex ideas pretty quickly. Today, we're doing something really practical. We're going to walk through almost every major business model out there. Our goal to figure out what really works, we're judging them on four things: startup cost, profit margin, how fast you get profitable, and, the overall success rate. This is especially for you if you're just curious, or maybe you're seriously thinking about your next move. Maybe you're a beginner entrepreneur. So yeah, if you're ready, hit that like button, maybe share this with someone who needs it, and definitely subscribe to Marginal Thoughts so you don't miss what we dive into next. Okay, so let's unpack this. We've basically ranked these models from F tier, which is, let's be honest, pretty much garbage dot, all the way up to S2. Those are the empire building machines. This whole system is designed to give you a clear roadmap, help you see where to put your energy, and frankly, where not to.
That's right. We're starting with models almost guaranteed to fail, and going all the way up to the ones that, super successful entrepreneurs use. It's about looking under the hood, really understanding why some work and, well, why others just don't.
Okay, let's jump right into the F tier then, the ones almost guaranteed to fail. And yeah, probably no surprise to anyone, top of the list, multi-level marketing, MLMs.
Yeah, MLMs. It's the concept itself sounds tempting, right? You earn commission from people you bring in and then who they bring in. But it's mathematically doomed. Think about it.
Yeah.
If you bring in 5 people and they each bring in 5, you'd run out of people on Earth in like 13 steps.
Yeah.
And for a beginner, the numbers are just brutal. Startup, maybe $100 to $5,000 for kits or whatever.
Yeah.
But the average margin, it's basically zero. Most people lose money because they can't sell the inventory.
Yeah.
The FTC, they say the success rate is less than 1%. It's definitely F tier.
Wow, yeah, less than 1%. That's stark. So is it just the math, or are there other maybe ethical issues that landed in F tier, especially for someone new?
It's largely that structure. The money flows up, making it almost impossible for newcomers to actually profit. For a beginner, the risk of losing that initial investment, it's just way too high. A really poor choice.
Okay. Sticking with F tier, there's another one you see all over the internet: life coaches, but with zero actual experience.
Oh, yeah. Everywhere online. Look, coaching itself isn't the problem. The issue is when there are no credentials, no proof, no case studies, just, generic advice sold as expertise. The model's simple: charge by the hour based on your personal brand.
Yeah.
But if that brand has no substance, numbers-wise, startup is super low, few $100 for a website, maybe a logo, profit margin looks high, like over 90% because it's just a call, right? Time to profit. Maybe 1 to 6 months if you find clients. But the success rate for these folks, under 5%, really low.
And the crazy part, like you said, is so many of them just make money teaching other people how to be life coaches who then teach others. It's night and day compared to someone who's actually coached execs, built businesses, someone with real runs on the board versus just a motivational caption and a ring light. That's why it's F tier. The value just isn't there for the customer.
Exactly. Okay, let's move up slightly. D tier. These can work, but man, they are tough. High running costs, razor-thin margins. First one, restaurants.
Ah, the classic dream, right? Opening a little cafe, but also, yeah, the classic nightmare for so many. What's the biggest killer you see with restaurants?
Honestly, it's the complexity and the constant cash burn. It's all transactional sales. Time, food, staff. For single orders, they're super labor heavy, inventory heavy, and location is everything. If you don't have high volume, consistently you're just bleeding cash. Startup costs, huge. 100K to 500K easy. Rent, staff, equipment, food. And the profit margin, tiny, like 3% to 10%. That's why it takes maybe 2 to 3 years just to break even. So yeah, no wonder over half fail in 2-3 years, and like 80% within 5 years. To make it work, you need an amazing location or just a super supportive local community. Hard to get, especially for a newbie.
Definitely D tier then. Okay, from the restaurant burn, right? Let's shift to another D tier model with similar issues. The traditional retail store, like mall shops.
Right. Simple idea. Buy big, sell in person. But you're stuck in one spot, holding inventory, paying rent, all fixed costs. Startup. 50K to maybe 250K margins. Again, pretty low, 5% to 20%. It's tough to see how some survives, honestly. Big retailers are closing stores, going online. Hard to compete with fast delivery and online discounts constantly popping up. For a beginner, the capital needed and the competition. It's a huge hurdle.
And speaking of physical stuff, last D tier, this is for people who actually make the product themselves. Small scale manufacturing, handmade goods. Sounds kind of nice, but it's tough, isn't it?
It really can be. Here, you're the founder in the factory. The numbers vary a lot, but startup could be 10K up to six figures for tools, space, materials, profit margins, maybe 10% to 30%. Manufacturing, logistics,
Yeah.
it eats into it.
Yeah.
Time to profit, at least a year or two. And the success rate,
Yeah.
fairly low. You're up against models that just scale way easier by outsourcing. There are really only two ways this works well. One, you own a tiny hyper niche market. Like you're the only one making, I don't know, gear for competitive pigeon racing or something. Zero competition.
You-
Or two, what you make is literally the best in the world. Think handmade Japanese chef knives people wait months for and pay thousands up front. Without that extreme niche or world-class quality, it's just incredibly difficult.
All right, so we've seen the tough, high-cost D tier. Now we're into C tier. These often look tempting, like easy money or super low entry barriers. But they have their own traps, usually around trends or margins that just disappear, starting with everyone's favorite online hustle, dropshipping.
Yeah, dropshipping, the only reason it's not D tier is, unlike making stuff when you need skills, dropshipping looks like it needs almost no skill. You list products online, usually from China. Supplier ships direct, no inventory, your main job. Ads. Lots and lots of ads. Startup cost. $500, $5,000, mostly on those ads. Margins, slim, 5% to 10%. Maybe 30% if you catch a viral wave on TikTok or something. Time to profit, 3 to 6 months, maybe never. But here's the really interesting part. If your product is profitable, guaranteed, it gets copied instantly by everyone else. Then it's just a race to the bottom on price.
So it's just a constant scramble for the next hot thing, like a treadmill. What's the real challenge for a beginner then?
Exactly. The skill isn't setting up the Shopify store. It's finding winning products before they're saturated and then being amazing at advertising and writing copy. It looks easy, but honestly, if you have those marketing chops, there are much better, more stable businesses to build. For a beginner, it's just super easy to burn through ad money and get nowhere.
Okay. Still in C tier. What about print on demand? Sounds super easy too.
It is super accessible. You make some art for t-shirts, mugs, whatever, upload it to a platform, they handle printing, shipping. You get a small cut, often pennies, startup cost, basically zero, maybe just design software, margins, 10 to 30%. But on really cheap items, so the dollar amount per sale is tiny, time to profit. Depends entirely on your designs. Could be months, could be never. Why C tier? Because there's a zero barrier to entry. Anyone can do it. Millions have. So again, it's a race to the bottom, price, originality. It's tough. It's usually more like a side hustle, maybe makes you $30 a month if you're lucky. Rarely scales.
Right, more of a hobby that might pay for coffee. Okay, last C tier. Ad-based apps. Basically all those free apps that show you ads.
Yep. Build a free app, a simple game, a little tool, something quirky. Rely on ads inside the app and hope for tons of users. The startup cost here is actually surprisingly high. Could be a couple grand, could be over $100. Development, servers, design, it adds up. Margins look high technically, but the net margin is often only 5% to 15%. Ad revenue per user is low, server costs can be high, users churn quickly, which means if it's not profitable in a year or two, it usually just fades away. Success rate, under 5%.
Okay, wait. Under 5% success, high startup. Why isn't this F tier? Sounds pretty bad.
Good question. It's scalability, just the potential. If somehow your app goes mega viral and gets millions of users, even tiny revenue per user adds up. Think Flappy Bird, right? Supposedly made like $50 Ks a day. So while it's a terrible bet for most beginners, huge development risk, there's that tiny chance of hitting the jackpot. So C tier, not F.
Gotcha.
Oh.
Okay, finally moving up. We're on to B tier. From here on, these models are generally reliable, profitable, and often the fastest way for a beginner, someone starting from scratch, to actually make money. First up, freelancing and consulting.
Yeah, basically selling your skills or your time. Per project or maybe retainer-based, landing ongoing clients. The numbers here are pretty great. Startup cost is basically zero. Margins, easily over 90%, very little overhead, maybe some software. Time to profit can be immediate or maybe 3 to 6 months if you're building your network. And what's really interesting, the success rate. A recent study found 1 in 4 U.S. freelancers make 6 figures or more per year. That's pretty solid for zero startup.
1 in 4, 6 figures, zero startup. That's huge. So what's the key then for a beginner to actually hit that level, not just do odd jobs?
Specialization, absolutely key. Don't just be a writer. Be a conversion copywriter for dentists or a technical writer for crypto startups. Solve a specific high-value problem for a specific client type. That lets you charge more, build a reputation faster, get repeat work. That's how you push income up.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Building on that, still B tier, the agency model, kind of next step up from freelancing.
Exactly. Some freelancers stay solo, love the freedom. Others decide to build a team, maybe just for more hands-on deck or to add skills you don't have, tackle bigger projects. Startup here's a bit more, maybe 1K to 10 Dahlia. You might need an office space, more tools, some marketing budget. Margins drop naturally to maybe 20% to 40% after paying your team. Time to profit should still be quick, like freelancing. Immediate to 3-6 months. And the success rate, still pretty good, similar to solo freelancing, but obviously with higher potential scale.
Right, so it's that leap from trading your time to leveraging other people's time, which is a big shift. Okay, last one in B tier, local services. Things like cleaning, landscaping, repairs, actual hands-on stuff. Seems like there's always demand.
Totally. We joke about too many podcasters, not enough plumbers, but it's kind of true. These are location-based physical services, often recurring. Yeah, they're labor and logistics heavy, but the demand, it's evergreen and often underserved. Startup, maybe $2 to $15K for gear, a vehicle, tools, some local ads. Margins, pretty decent, 20% to 50%, depends how efficient you are. Time to profit, quick, usually 1 to 2 months. Success rate, medium to high, especially if you're in a city that needs that service. The real secret here, these boring businesses, as people call them, they often quietly pull in 6 figures a year once established, especially if they're reliable and professional, because that's getting rarer.
Okay, solid B tier options there. Now, A tier. These have massive potential. Strong margins, often recurring revenue. This is where you can really build wealth, but yeah, not beginner friendly usually. Needs capital, expertise, maybe an audience, starting with franchise ownership.
Right. You pay a fee to operate under a known, proven brand. Usually get exclusive territory, support, systems, supply chains, marketing, the whole playbook. Startup costs, extremely high. $50 on the very low end, up to millions for big names like McDonald's or whatever. Margins are okay, maybe 10%, 20% net, time to profit. About 1 to 2 years typically. But the success rate is what's really impressive. Over 85% survive 5+ years, which sounds almost too good to be true, but it actually is.
Yeah, but there's always a catch, right? Like you can't just walk in and buy a bunch of profitable Chick-fil-A's.
By the way, the top franchises, they approve less than 1% of applicants. They want deep experience, management skills, the right location strategy. And yeah, they can basically fire you, take back the franchise if your performance slips. Still, that high success rate, the built-in systems, brand trust, it makes it solid A tier if you have the capital and experience. Definitely not for a beginner, though.
Right. It's more like buying into a system than starting from scratch. Okay, next A tier. Digital products, hugely scalable, potentially very profitable. How does this break down?
It usually comes in 2 main flavors, each with its own path. First, there's audience-based digital products. Think online courses, paid newsletters, communities. You package your knowledge or access and sell it to people who trust you. Needs a loyal audience first, that's the key, and a product that actually delivers value. Startup cost is tricky. Building that audience can take years of creating content. The product itself could be a few thousand to, honestly, hundreds of thousands or more for complex platforms. Margins, insanely high. 80% to 95% for courses, ebooks, maybe a bit lower for complex software-like things. Time to profit can be instant if the audience is there, or 3+ years if you're building both from zero. Success really depends on that trust and reach. Then there's the other type, technology-based digital products, like plugins, templates, automations, digital tools that save time or improve workflows. Numbers look different here. Startup, often low, maybe $2 to $3, especially if you can build it yourself. Margins, still super high, around 90%. Time to profit can be quick, 1 to 3 months if you target an existing niche, maybe 6 months to a year for something broader. Think photographers selling Lightroom presets, right? That's a perfect example. The bottom line is digital products are A tier because you build once, sell forever. High margin, low overhead, amazing scalability.
Build once, sell forever. Love that. Okay, last A tier. Direct-to-consumer e-commerce, DTC brands. This feels like a better version of that small-scale manufacturing we talked about earlier.
Exactly. It's a major step up. You manufacture or white label a product, build a brand around it, sell direct from your own website. It's inventory-based, yes, but you control the customer relationship, build loyalty, get repeat business, charge premium prices. It's better than small-scale manufacturing because you outsource production. That unlocks scale. You focus on brand, marketing, experience. White labeling is when you basically buy a finished product from a factory, slap your logo on it. Lots of influencers do this. Or you might outsource most production but do final finishing touches in-house, like high fashion does, adding value and justifying a higher price. Startup can be $10K for a simple white label start or easily 6-7 figures for a bigger brand launch. Margins, good, 30% to 60%, depending on your brand power and costs. Time to profit, usually 6 to 12 months. However, only about 10% to 20% actually achieve long-term profitability. It's competitive. The real power and the challenge is the marketing. Building that brand, constantly acquiring customers. It takes serious marketing muscle.
Right, the brand is everything there. Okay, we've reached the top. S tier. These are the models of the, ultra wealthy, the top entrepreneurs. Fast scaling, super high margins, usually recurring revenue. First one, software as a service, SaaS.
Yep. Code it once, license it forever. Kind of like digital products, but crucially, the software often stops working if you stop paying. That monthly recurring revenue, the MRR, is gold. Startup cost, significant. $10K for something super niche and bootstrapped. Maybe $500 could be hundreds of millions for complex enterprise stuff. Margins, amazing. 70% to 90%. Time to profit, longer, usually 12 to 24 months. Success rate, about 10%. Maybe higher if you bootstrap and stay really niche, focused on solving one specific pain point. Basically, if you solve a real problem people will pay monthly for, you're building a potential money printing machine. Think Amazon Web Services. Huge part of Amazon's profit is SaaS.
Okay, next S tier, marketplace, where you connect buyers and sellers but don't own the stuff yourself. Why is this so powerful?
You don't own the product, you own the traffic. You're the middleman taking a cut. Airbnb, Uber, Amazon started this way. The power is the network effect. More buyers attract more sellers, which attracts more buyers. It feeds itself. Startup. High again, $50K to $1 plus. Need great UX, security, and crucially liquidity, enough buyers and sellers right away to make it work. The chicken and egg problem, margins. Very good, 40% to 70%. Time to profit, 1 to 3 years usually. Success rate is actually pretty low for big, broad marketplaces. They're super hard to get off the ground, need massive traffic. But the upside is enormous. And you can do it at a smaller niche scale sometimes. That's often how they start.
Right, the network effect is key. Okay, last S tier model, Fintech. Sounds complicated. What's the big hurdle here?
Yeah, Fintech, building payment systems, digital wallets, investing tools. You make money from tiny fees at huge scale, often recurring. The unique barriers, 2 big ones. First, integrating with old, clunky financial systems. Second, navigating the incredibly strict regulations, KYC, AML, know your customer, anti-money laundering. That regulatory piece is often the real barrier for beginners, even more than the coding. Need deep knowledge there. It's just a different beast. Very low success rate. Takes years and years to get profitable. Needs huge infrastructure. But when it works, the upside is insane. So good.
Wow. Okay, what a journey through that whole landscape. From, the F-tier struggles like MLMs and those fake coaches, all the way up to S-tier empire builders like SaaS and marketplaces. It really hammers home how important understanding those factors is: cost, margin, time to profit, success rate, especially if you're just starting out trying to figure out where to even begin. Hopefully this gives you a much clearer map, helps you see what might fit your own goals or just what you're curious about.
And it's interesting, we didn't even touch on some things like SVODs, subscription video on demand like Netflix. The startup costs there are just astronomical.
Yeah.
Billions just for content and tech. It really puts into perspective the scale business can reach, solving problems, creating value, demanding huge capital, huge patience, but offering potentially massive rewards.
That's a great point. So what stood out to you listening today? Which business model maybe surprised you, or which one are you thinking more about now? Let us know down in the comments. And yeah, definitely subscribe to Marginal Thoughts for more explorations like this. We'll catch you on the next one.